You know, does a breakup really have to be the end of the story? For the speaker in Robert Browning's incredible poem, The Last Ride Together, a moment of romantic rejection actually becomes the start of this huge philosophical journey. So today, we're going to unpack how this poem completely transforms heartbreak into a powerful meditation on life, art, and yeah, even the nature of heaven itself.
So let's just dive right in with the poem's biggest question. Is a failed romance really a failure? I mean, we're all taught to see rejection as this terrible endpoint, a total loss. But Browning just throws that idea out the window. He suggests that the intensity of the experience, just feeling that deeply, might be worth way more than a whole lifetime of what we'd call success.
All right, so let's set the scene. The poem kicks off at a really critical moment. Our speaker has just been rejected by his mistress. His life's greatest hope? It's gone. But instead of getting all bitter or collapsing in despair, he does something you would never, ever expect.
I mean, listen to the incredible grace he has here. He just accepts his fate, and not only that, he thanks her for the love she gave him. This is so not the reaction of a typical jilted lover, right? He's completely dignified, rising above all that disappointment to actually bless her name. He still values the experience of having loved, even if it ended in loss.
And then he makes his move. He asks for just one more thing. Not for a second chance, but for a final memory. This totally unconventional request for one last ride together, well, it's the hinge that the entire poem swings on. He's asking for a single moment, not a whole future.
Now, to really get this poem, you have to understand Browning's favorite poetic tool, the dramatic monologue. Basically, we are only hearing the speaker's side of the story. His mistress, she's right there, but she's a silent listener. Her quiet presence is actually a huge part of the drama, because it forces us to focus completely on his internal journey as he tries to process this huge moment.
And you can just feel the tension. For a few seconds, she just thinks about it, and he holds his breath. The poem literally says it's a moment with life or death in the balance. And then she agrees. The blood rushes back to his face. He's absolutely ecstatic, feeling deified like a god for just one more day.
So, the ride begins. And with it, his soul just unfurls. The physical motion of the ride triggers this immediate and profound psychological shift. He's not just a rejected lover anymore. He's becoming something else entirely.
This is such a powerful metaphor for what's happening to him. He compares his soul to a long, cramped scroll, all tightly rolled up, creased with worries and anxieties. But the ride, it's like a gust of wind, smoothing out all those creases, letting his soul finally open up and feel free.
And with this new sense of freedom, he just stops questioning the past. He asks, what's the point of struggling against a life that's already gone a little sideways? He decides to just accept his fate and dive completely into this one perfect present moment. This ride, it's all that matters now.
As they keep riding, his thoughts start to expand. They go way beyond his own situation. He starts comparing his supposed failure in love to what the rest of the world considers these amazing successes, and he comes to a pretty startling conclusion.
So first, he thinks about a statesman, a guy who works his whole life for what? A brief legacy, 10 lines on abbey stones, basically a few words on a tombstone that everyone will forget. The speaker contrasts that with his own reward, this intensely alive personal experience, and he just says flat out, my writing is better. It's a powerful idea that a personal, felt experience is worth more than public glory.
He does the exact same thing with the soldier. What is a soldier's glory, really? It's a flag stuck on a heap of bones. It's a victory that's literally built on death. His ride, on the other hand, is an experience of life, of breath, of connection. And again, he comes to the same conclusion. His personal, lived moment is way better than all that public glory.
Okay, so now he takes his argument one step further. He moves from men of action to men of creation, to artists. And he starts to argue that actually living an experience is far, far superior to any artistic representation of it. He kicks it off with this amazing question. What hand and brain went ever paired? This gets right to the heart of a core human problem. There's always a gap, right? A gap between our grand ideas and what we can actually manage to create. Browning calls this the fleshly screen, that physical, human limitation that just prevents us from ever achieving true perfection in our work.
So his point is that artists are always kind of one step removed from reality. A poet can write beautifully about feelings, but he might be poor, sick, old, and not really living them. A sculptor can carve a perfect Venus, but our eyes are always drawn to a real, living, breathing person. Artists, he argues, just capture the shadow. He, on this ride, is living the substance. And that's key to Browning's whole worldview. The lived, imperfect experience is better than any perfect but static piece of art.
So all of these thoughts about failure, success, life, art, they've all been building up to this. We're at the climax of the poem, the moment where our speaker has his ultimate epiphany about what bliss really is and what heaven might actually be. And this leads him to his most profound question yet. If Earth can be this good, if a moment can feel this perfect, could heaven possibly be any better? This ride becomes his new benchmark for pure happiness, a standard so incredibly high that even the afterlife might not be able to top it.
His answer is pretty radical. He realizes maybe heaven isn't a completely different kind of existence at all. Maybe it's just like our best moments on Earth, but changed not in kind, but in degree. What he means is, it's not a different feeling. It's just a more intense, more profound version of the best feelings we already know.
And that brings him to his final, mind-blowing epiphany. Heaven, he decides, is simply this: the instant made eternity. It's the idea that life's most perfect, blissful moments, like the one he's in right now, just go on forever.
So his final wish, his ultimate idea of paradise, isn't some far-off reward in the clouds. No, it's this simple, beautiful idea that this one perfect ride could just continue, that he and she could just ride together, forever ride, turning this one fleeting moment into an endless heaven.
And that kind of leaves us with a question, doesn't it? Browning's speaker found his own personal heaven in a moment of what looked like total loss. It really makes you think. If you could choose one single instant from your own life and make it last forever,